Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jays Today. Today, me and Claire and our guest Patrick will be doing some bracketology and going over the brackets for the winter sports.
Yeah, we're finally in postseason play for all of our sports. We have the girls' regionals coming out, boys' sub-state out, and boys' wrestling state brackets out, so we can kind of nerd out about those. We brought the closest thing we could find to an expert for wrestling, so here we are.
I don't know what that says, but I'll do my best.
So first off, how do you feel like, we got 6 qualifiers. How do you feel their seedings kind of came out with?
I think for the most part, they were all seated right about where I would have expected. A lot goes into the seedings for wrestling based off your record, common opponents, how you finished last year, and things like that. I think they were all pretty fair. The other thing about it is it tends to work itself out. I think in girls wrestling, Lauren was a little underseeded. It worked out. She finished 3rd above her seed, and that's kind of how this works out. So I think it was fair.
Let's get right into it. What can you tell us about the 113 bracket?
All right, so Kobe comes in with an 11 seed. That's, as a returning blood round guy, blood round is the guys that just missed the podium, so finished 9 through 12. He's returning right about that same seed. He's going to start off with a kid from Newton. Should be okay there. And then he's going to come into Munson from Cedar Rapids Prairie. He's a 3-time state placer, 2-time placer, 3-time qualifier. Solid wrestler. Kobe's got a chance on this one, and I think if he wrestles well, he can be a part of that. If he doesn't, he'll come back to the consolation side, and really, I think his path to the podium is going to come through one of 2 guys, either Munson from Prairie or Lewis from Waverly Shell Rock, who he saw earlier in the year. Didn't have his best match that day, and so the Waverly kid got him. But I think he's going to have to be either Munson or Lewis to get on the podium.
Tell us about the 120.
All right, so 120, Nicholas comes in seated 24. Not a returning placer, so didn't have any of those benefits coming for him. So as a 24 seed, he's going to open up with Arroyo from Urbandale. Tough kid, returning 7th place at 113 last year. So McCrae's going to have his work cut out for him to start with. If that doesn't go his way, he's going to come into probably a kid from Waterloo West that doesn't have a lot of matches on the season, has some decent wins, but not any spectacular wins. And so I think Nicholas has maybe a shot there, but coming in at a 24 seed, and you got nothing to lose, you're rolling the dice with it because you're not expected to win. So go out there, let it fly, and Nicholas has a little bit of offense, so maybe he can make that work.
132.
All right, so 132 gets a little bit interesting because Jaron is facing the kid who he faced in the finals at districts just last weekend from Johnston. Kept it fairly close. One thing to note is that kid has this big brace on his shoulder. I think he missed a little bit of time recently with an injury. Conditioning in those situations can be a little bit of a thing, so maybe Jaron can work something late and get a shot on him. If that doesn't work his way, he's got one of 2 kids that, or actually probably his next 2 matches will be kids that he's wrestled this year. He lost to both of them, but they were both close, lost by decisions. So, that second time sometimes a little better fit matchup. And Jaron's a little unorthodox in how he wrestles. He just does things a little bit differently. So I think he's got a chance to do something that, might catch somebody by surprise. So, again, coming in 22 seed, if you get a win or 2, that's a good tournament. And I think Jaron's been heating up at the right time.
157.
All right, so 157's Nolan. Nolan's 2-time 3rd place finisher at state and just a junior. So there's really kind of 3 main guys in this bracket, and they've all wrestled each other. It's been within a takedown, all 3 of them, every match. And so Nolan's got an opening round, and then he'll have a kid from Southeast Polk who's a nice kid, but Nolan has a better resume than him. And then he's going to match up with Diaz from Waverly. It would be his semifinal opponent. They wrestled earlier in the season in a duel. Nolan just couldn't quite get a takedown on him, so Diaz won. I think it was 5-1. It's going to be a takedown one way or the other on who comes away with that. And the the number 1 seed from Ankeny Centennial also is a takedown difference on both of them. So should be a fun run. I'd like to see Nolan maybe get to Saturday night for the finals.
165.
All right, so 165, we got Jordan. Jordan's coming in. Seeded 7th, has finished 7th twice at state. One thing about Jordan is I always maybe optimistically trust him to be in the right spot at the right time. And so he's going to have a pretty decent matchup with Pontier from Indianola in the second round. He missed the first half of the season. I think might have been a football injury. So he's coming in strong. He's, I think, a 2-time blood round victim. And so probably a little hungry to find his way onto the podium this senior year, but very similar build to Jordan. So I think it should be a fun matchup. I'm going to err on the side of saying Jordan makes it through that. Just like I said, I'm always optimistic Jordan comes through in the clutch. And that would match him up with Bushong from Southeast Polk, who's 3-time state qualifier. 2 did not place and 1 5th place finish. He's wrestled well this year, but a lot of his opponents are not from Iowa, so they're not common opponents. So could be a really interesting matchup. If that goes his way, all bets are off because you get semifinals and a lot of fun could happen. If he doesn't get that win, he'll probably match up with a kid from Linn-Mar that he hasn't wrestled this year. He did beat last year. Real solid sophomore. So I would be surprised if Jordan doesn't end up on the podium, but how high he can get on the podium is yet to be seen.
Should be our final bracket at 190.
All right, so Gipple comes in at 16 seed. He'll have a nice first-round matchup with the 17 seed from Iowa City High. They haven't seen each other ever, and so based off of who they've kind of wrestled against, should be a good match. Could go either way. If you win, you get Hempstead from Carlisle, who's kind of hammer. If you lose, you'll come into the backside, and he would see a kid probably from Waverly Shell Rock that he saw like his pretty much right after he came back from injury. So wasn't really in shape yet. So it's a little hard to use that as a judgment. The Waverly kid did come out on top, but Gipple looked really good this weekend, wrestled aggressively, beat up on some kids. And so I think maybe you can get a win or two out of this. And then said as a 16 seed, if you get a couple wins, it's all bonus after that.
Jays Today is sponsored in part by Jeff Meislin with Principal Financial Group. Jeff and his team help individuals, families, and businesses with retirement planning and strategy, investments, college funding, life, long-term disability, and long-term care insurance, and other financial products and strategies. Feel free to email or call for a complimentary consultation or if you have any questions. That number is 515-246-4057. Once again, it's 515-246-4057. Vision Bank has been a sponsor of Bluejay Digital since day one. Our partnership has been instrumental in the growth of our live streams and purchasing new camera equipment. We are fortunate to be supported by a local business committed to our community, our students, and our program.
Well, let's jump into girls. Regionals 4A, Region 5 on their way to state tournament. Hopefully, maybe. We'll see. First round matchup against Hoover at Hoover. I'll be honest, I don't feel that should have went that way, but it is what it is and you can't complain now. So on Wednesday, the girls are going to head to Hoover to match up against the Huskies. According to Bound, the power index, Hoover was dead last in 4A. We were sitting in 23, and then according to BC Moore, another rankings, Hoover was also last in 4A. We were sitting at 28, so pretty middle of the pack, middle of 4A. That's why I kind of disagree with the location of the first round matchup, but it's beyond that. Common opponents, Lincoln played them, same conference. took the loss to them early in the season, 53-35, and then later in the season got them by just 1 point. An opponent that we played before and beat them 58-12. So if they match up to a Lincoln, then there's pretty good hopes for us. Another common opponent, Roosevelt, same conference, lost to them twice this season, 56-16 and 58-11. So they're barely cracking double digits against the Rough Riders. We played them earlier in the season, and we came out on top 57-52. So based off of that, if you look at strengths of schedules, I mean, we're facing tougher opponents and we're losing those games, but we're playing better teams and getting better results.
So what do you think happens if we win our first game?
So when we win our first game, we're going to go to Norwalk, the number 1 seed in our regional at Norwalk. We played them earlier in the year, and we did not have a great showing against them, but that was the first game of the season. A lot can change in one whole season.
The same thing happened to the boys team. Not a great game the very first game of the season and against Ballard, and we came back and had a closer game than we did the first time.
Plus the new coaching staff, it takes time to get into that and evolve. And so I think you guys have learned the systems that they're putting in a little better. So a little better potential outcome the second time.
Most definitely. Some keys of the game, once we head there, it's going to be a difficult game. That's going without saying. We're going to have to kind of shut down their playmakers. They have the Birmingham sisters, and they're leading their team. Points per game that they're scoring is the same as our whole team. I mean, that's going to be difficult because they're putting up a lot of points on the board, and we're not putting up as many points on the board. So we're going to have to find a way to shut them down. We're going to have to be able to handle their press. Pressure throughout the season hasn't been great for us because it's causing us to have a lot of turnovers. And sometimes those gaming turnovers, those are just detrimental to the game. We have to reduce those, and we have to have a lot of shot makers. We have to have Aubrey on her game. We have to have Addison on her game. We have to have Kaylee on her game. We have to have the stars to align, basically. It's going to be a tough game, but we have to be collective. And sometimes throughout some of our games, it hasn't been that. It's been 5 individuals on a court. We have to figure out how to work together and come find ourselves into a similar mission, that we want to play as a team and work as a team, and that's going to be our key.
All right, and for the boys' side, we are in Sub-State 8, and for our first game, we'll be playing Creston. We matched up with them last year in the playoffs and beat them. They are 11-8, and our only common opponent is Winterset. They beat Winterset by 8. But besides that common opponent, when you really look at the rest of their schedule, they haven't played anybody that good. So we're hoping they come to us, so that'll be a home game. And we're hoping to just play a solid game. Guys got to hit shots. We got to handle the ball, play good D. That's the one thing with this boys team that has been really, really good recently is our defense. That has been helping us stay tight with some good teams and also win some good games. So say that we move on from that, we will be matched up with either Carlisle or Des Moines Christian. Des Moines Christian is a 2 seed in our bracket, and Carlisle is our 7th. Des Moines Christian also has a common opponent of Winterset, who they beat by 9, so 1 more point than Creston. They also beat a team that we're kind of familiar with, which is Indianola by 4. We'll be playing them on Thursday. So that'll kind of tell us a little bit about what our matchup would be like if we do end up playing Des Moines Christian. That team is 16-5, but their schedule, kind of like Creston, isn't amazing. They play mostly 1A and 2A teams. So, yeah, I'm interested to see the outcome of this Des Moines Christian and Carlisle game because Carlisle, on the other side, is a team that has some big fellas and can beat people with. That's kind of what happened when we went there. Those big guys just played really well, and it's hard to stop a team when they have two really good big guys. So that's how our side of the bracket is. But this Sub-State 8 has an interesting other side of the bracket. Ballard is 17-1, and their only loss of the season is against North Polk, who is on that side of the bracket. North Polk plays Perry the first round. So say that they beat Perry, and Ballard plays Atlantic that first round. So say that Ballard beats Atlantic. It's a toss-up between that North Polk and Ballard team. They split during the regular season, and you never know what can happen. Yeah, we're excited for our matchups, and I think if we play really well, which can happen. Look what we've done in the playoffs the last 2 years. People have started to take note of Bondurant when it comes playoff time, and I think we can make it back again.
So you're predicting an all Raccoon River Conference quarterfinal in that bracket or semifinal?
It could happen. There's a good chance. It's tough to say. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of just interested to see how that game goes. But yeah, there could be a all RRC semifinal. We are the best conference in all 3A, I would say.
I would say that on the girls' side too. For 4A, 4 of the teams in the girls' brackets got a first round bye. 4 Raccoon teams got a first round bye. But there is a regional for the girls that has 4 Raccoon teams in it. That one is going to be basically just Raccoon teams going against each other.
Sounds like a fun postseason.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, and hopefully it's a fun week because everything's better with brackets. So basketball, wrestling, it's just a fun time to be a part of sports.
And don't forget, it's a great day to be a Blue Jay.
Is that what you wanted?